Hi, welcome to session number 1, tutorial number 2, overview of resource management. In the first tutorial of session number 1, you learned about the module, resource management. Now, let's start exploring what resource management is all about. Learning outcomes. There are 4 learning outcomes expected when you complete this tutorial. Number 1, understand the reasons behind resource management in managing a project. Then, you'll also learn the key resource management principles, which may help you in managing resources effectively. You'll also learn the best practices in managing resources. Finally, we are going to talk about the resource management maturity model. Resource management maturity model is a tool that is used to track your maturity level in resource management. Introduction to resource management. Let's uncover the question, what is resource management? What do you think? Well, resource management is about how you manage resources. Hence, resource management is to maximize the resource productivity towards the desired outcomes by managing them effectively. These resources comprise the people, equipment, facility, knowledge, information, funding, and others. They are the key factors for completion of any project activity. People resources are a very important element of any project and not easy to manage at all. Thus, people need some additional ways of dealing when it comes to resource management. They can be made more productive by following some key management principles which will be discussed later in this module. Resource management in a nutshell. Let's have a look at how you could manage resources within a project context. In your project, you may have a dedicated resource manager, or you as a project manager might be the one responsible for resource management. Project resource manager is responsible to divide the right skills for the right project task at the right time. Usually, a project manager and a resource manager have specific responsibility to carry out any project. Project manager is responsible to plan and execute the project, whereas resource manager manages between resource demand and supply. He evaluates the resource requirement for a project and assigns appropriate resources to project tasks. He or she also manages resource utilizations to maximize its productivity. They also analyze necessary metrics related to resource management and capacity planning. The figure you see will describe the roles of these two. In summary, effective resource management is absolutely crucial for effective project management. This slide is a mapping between 10 project management knowledge areas and 5 processes defined by PMBOK. Generally, resource management is relevant to all knowledge areas. However, resource management is more relevant to cost management and human resource management. and the resource management is mainly needed in planning and executing phases. Effective resource management. In this slide, we are going to have a look at some of the key principles of resource management. Number 1. We always need to remember that resources are usually people. Project resources are managed with the help of resource assignment metrics such as RASI chart or capacity utilization calculation for different resources. But we can't ignore the fact that resources are people too, who can't only be measured by hard data sets for their efficiency and effectiveness. They require some soft skills to manage them efficiently. Skills include communication, leadership, and guidance to be motivated and inspired while working. The data can only tell about resource utilization and resource availability, but cannot increase resource productivity. Hence, a metric can be used to identify the areas of concern, but they can be well addressed by the people themselves. Talk to the relevant resources or team regarding concerns and help them to resolve them. That should be the way to go. Key principle number 2. Key people management. This involves the resources to achieve common project objectives. Ensure to align all the resources and set expectations. Resources should be clear about what is expected out of them. They should understand the priority and importance of assigned tasks. They should be involved in project risk identification by encouraging them for an open discussion. They should also be given the liberty to set and estimate task schedules depending on their priorities. This will increase the resource commitment towards schedules. Principle number 3. Principles of team management. Bring the sense of collaboration among team members. This will foster productivity and creativity and eventually decreases the chances of errors. Real-time feedback to the team will enhance their confidence and commitment. Principle number 4. Principle of allocation. Always try to allocate the right resources for the right tasks. Don't just assign the task to the resources. Always match the resource capability and interest with the task that's been assigned to someone. Know your resource and his or her interest. Then try to figure out which task motivates the person most. Assign that task only to him or her to keep your resource at his or her best. Principle number 5. Rewards and recognition. Also, the efforts of your resources should not go unrewarded. Ensure to make sure resources know about how important their contribution to the assigned tasks. Recognize their effort and time. Effective resource management, resource allocation best practices. Let's have a look at some of the best practices used in resource management. If these things are mastered by the resource managers, the results can be optimized. Practice number 1. Try to use a centralized resource pool. This will help your team, your program, organization, to optimize the resource utilization. While we are struggling with the finance and the resource capacity, having a centralized resource pool will ensure that you have a readily available resource pool that can be used for high priority projects. We'll also discuss how effectively you can manage resources within your organization in the coming lectures. Practice number 2, leveling resource. A technique in which start and finish dates are adjusted based on resource constraints with the goal of balancing demand of resources with the available supply. This technique will allow you to adjust your resource planning for a given requirement based on the priority and the severity of the project that you are working on. You can allocate the resources appropriately. Practice number 3. Know who is doing what. When projects fail, this is one key area that's been overlooked by the project management. If you know your people what tasks they are working on, that will greatly help you to manage their time and effort effectively. Practice number 4. Track the progress. It's a very fundamental practice that's not managed very effectively by all the teams. Therefore, as a resource manager or a project manager, try and track the progress of your resource assignments, which will allow you to adjust the requirements, their deployment effectively. Future forecasting. While you are making use of your existing resources for the existing projects and assignments, it's also very important that you forecast your resource requirements for the upcoming projects. When you do this, you'll see the health of your resource capacity. Providing you see a big gap in the existing capacity, you can start recruitment, filling the gaps in advance so that when it comes to the project time window, you are ready with the right level of resourcing. Practice number 6, which is the last one. Use appropriate resource management software. You won't be surprised to hear that most of the projects that fail are not using any resource management software. This may explain the reason why you need to think of the right resource management tool for your project. Evaluate the requirement, evaluate the complexity, evaluate the level of attention that you have to give, and decide the right resource management software. Once you have these practices in place, I'm sure you'll be a great resource manager or a project manager. The resource management maturity model. The resource management maturity model enables organizations to define and execute effective resource management strategies. It accomplishes this by helping stakeholders better align resource-related information needs with their level of portfolio management process maturity and technology application. While there are quite a few resource management maturity models, one of the widely used models is Resource Management Maturity Model from PMP. Resource Management Maturity Model identifies a logical progression of resource management process sophistication through 5 levels of maturity. Organizations can use Resource Management Maturity Model to ensure that they can manage project resources and capacity at the just right level. There are 5 levels in Resource Management Maturity Model proposed by PMP. Level number 1, work visibility. This level gives organization an opportunity to know which resource is working on what. But resources are not allocated and assigned to work in a controlled way. Level number 2, controlled assignment. Under this maturity level, there is a formal resource assignment approval process. This is known as resource approval workflow. However, the resource manager performs approvals by consulting a heat map indicating the availability of each resource and providing approvals only when availability exceeds demand. Maturity level number 3, governed capacity. This level introduces the concept of capacity management. It provides a governance structure which prioritizes projects over new resource demands. Maturity level number 4, schedule-driven assignment. Not all resource people equally participate in all phases of a project. Thus, this resource maturity level, resource assignment approval, and capacity management are triggered by project schedule at phase level. Project resources are assigned according to phase level activities. Maturity level number 5, granular management. Under this maturity level, resource assignment approval and capacity management processes are driven by complete and full task level project schedule. This maturity level considers resource assignment at very granular level. For example, full task level of work breakdown structure. The appropriate level of resource management maturity model should be used with related project management maturity of an organization to ensure that your projects are managed effectively. With this, we conclude this tutorial. Let's continue our studies with the next tutorial, which is session number 1.